Trump's big beautiful bill is shaking up the Washington. It sparked a feud between the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world. Tesla stock is already down by about 20%, wiping out $150 billion of market cap, and Elon's net worth is down by around $30 to $40 billion. Just a couple of days ago, Elon accepted a golden key from Donald Trump when he left the White House when his job at Doge was over. But a few moments later, this is what he tweeted. "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it." Trump later responded in the White House that he's very disappointed with Elon Musk and that Elon Musk was aware of the bill and he knew everything about it. And this is what he tweeted later on. "Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted." And this is probably the best tweet out of them all. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden did not do that. Then Elon escalated the situation by linking Donald Trump to the Epstein files. And finally, he tweeted that, "Call your senator, call your congressman, bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill." I thought House of Cards was the best political show I have ever watched, but this is on a completely different level. So why exactly Elon is against this bill? What Elon is afraid is that he doesn't want America to turn into a debt slave. Imagine you're making like $10,000 per month and you have to make a monthly payments of interest payments of $8,000. And that leaves you with around $2,000 of monthly income because $8,000 goes directly into your interest payments. And as your debt grows up, one day the entire $10,000 will be allocated into interest payments. You can't quit your job because you have to keep working to make those payments. If you are going to encounter any kind of crisis, there is no way you can actually have any kind of savings or investments to save yourself up. And you're not working for yourself. You're working for the lender. You're working for the banks. You're working for those who loaned you the credit card. You're working for those who get you the mortgage. You're working for those who are actually affording you that car. And that's pretty much how most Americans live, in fact. If you look at the budget of the United States, the US government spends around $7 trillion on one side, and it just earns $5 trillion. So mathematically, you can do the math and figure out when exactly at some time in the future the US government is going to get out of business. So his entire point of joining the government was to balance that. At first, he thought that he can get into the government and cut $2 trillion. But then when he joined the government, he realized the real truth, that it is not business, it's politics. And cutting $2 trillion is impossible. So he remanaged his goal and said that he's going to cut $1 trillion, and economic growth is going to add to the fact that the government will raise its budget or its revenue by another $1 trillion. And that's how they will balance the budget. They will cut all the wasteful spending, they will make the government more efficient, they will spend less money, and the money that is being spent will be spent more productively. But when he joined, all he could do in the last few months is save the government around $160 billion. According to different estimates, probably $180 billion. But if you look at the independent journalists who try to verify every transaction, they're saying it's actually less than $50 billion. On one side, Elon has spent $270 million trying to help Donald Trump get elected. And he also helped a lot of Republican senators to get to the House and the Senate so that they can actually pass the legislation that is much more favorable to the goal that Elon has put in front of himself. And the goal of Elon Musk, I believe, wasn't just to get into the government and stay there forever. Now, usually when a government starts any kind of a project, it stays there forever. They never actually cancel it. Just take a look at all the wars that the United States has ever started. They start a war and then it lasts for 20, 30 years and nobody knows why that war actually started. The same thing usually happens with government agencies and government contracts, which is why the job of Elon was, I'm going to get in, spend all of this money, get elected and fix the problem and then get out. And then Donald Trump passes a legislation that undermines everything that Elon Musk stands up. So what exactly the big beautiful bill stands for? It extends the 2017 tax cuts, but it also eliminates taxes on tips and overtime and raises the state and local tax deductions up to $40,000. And that means less revenue for the government. But it also boosts military spending by about $150 billion. And according to different estimates, it's going to cost the government around an extra $3 to $5 trillion. The US is already facing a debt problem. The national debt has been rising for the last 30, 50, or 70 years and stand right now at around $37 trillion. It's going to get a lot worse. And if you look at the graph that you see in front of you, under the current legislation, by 2034, which is in 10 years from now, the debt to GDP ratio would have grown to 117%. But now under Trump's big, beautiful bill, it's going to rise to 129%. And if interest rates are going to stay at around 4.5%, it is going to get much worse and will be at around 133%. These few percentages might not seem like a big deal in the beginning, but if you look at the size of the government debt, then even a single percentage is going to cost the government hundreds of billions of dollars. Just look at the interest rate. Like if you have a total debt of, let's say, $40 trillion, which is exactly where the debt is going to be in a year or two from now, then a single percentage is going to cost the government $400 billion. We already have a deficit problem of around $2 trillion, and it's around 6.1%. Under the new legislation, it's going to be 7.8%. And what Elon Musk is really afraid of is that we're getting into the point of no return, that we're going to get to a position in 5 to 10 years from now where no matter what we do, there is no way to fix that problem. Because the United States is simply going to turn into a country where the entire budget is going to be allocated into paying the interest. And that is a really bad situation because you want to spend that money into growing the economy. You want to spend that money into building roads, infrastructure, roads, education, just making the country a better place so that the government can fund the corporations to improve the country. But instead, all of that money is going to go to the lenders who lend that money to the US government. So watching how the big, beautiful bill passes the House and now goes to the Senate, I think Elon felt very frustrated and very betrayed because he spent all of that money to help Trump to get elected, but now he's actually doing the exact opposite of what he wanted in the first place. You might make the argument that Donald Trump is not accountable to Elon Musk, and you will be absolutely right. But when you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to get a guy elected and you want to fix one of the biggest problems in America, which is the national debt, but then the president passes a legislation that is exactly opposite of what you believe and what you're trying to accomplish, then what's your goal in the government? What are you even doing in the government? What is the job of the Doge? On one side, the Doge is supposed to catch spending. On the other side, the spending increases by a couple of trillions of dollars. So even if Doge tries to save like $500 billion, $700 billion, and the next legislation that is about to be passed is going to increase spending by $5 trillion, those $500 billion are not going to make any difference. And the consequences of not fixing this problem is really huge. The point of debt is that when you're in crisis, you can borrow money and get out of the crisis, but then you have to tighten your belt and pay that money back. So, for example, you're going through a really brutal war and you need to raise money and you need to borrow money in order to get out of that problem. Imagine you are in a recession or a Great Depression. It makes sense for you to borrow money, but then you have to understand that you borrowed that money during a hard time. Now you have got out of the problem, you fixed the problem, time to pay the money back. But when you're already running such a huge deficit and such a huge debt, when you're going to encounter another crisis, there is no way you can borrow your money out of that crisis. Imagine if the United States is going to go through another COVID-like crisis in 5 years from now, 7 years from now. Do you think the government can again borrow that much cash? Well, of course not. If it does, it's going to create massive inflation. Imagine if the government is going to go through another crisis such as the 2008 financial crisis. Will the government be able to borrow money? What allowed the United States for so many decades to borrow money are lower interest rates. When interest rates are 10, 15 or 20%, you cannot borrow that much money. Who are you going to borrow that money from in the first place? The higher the risk of loaning you the money, the more the investors and the lenders are going to require of interest payments from your side. And for the last few decades, risks loaning money to the United States were so extremely low that the United States enjoyed borrowing money at such a low rate. But when you're running such a huge deficit and you have like $40, $50 trillion of debt that you cannot possibly pay off, that is going to only raise the concerns for investors, and investors will demand higher interest rates to loan you money, and you have no other option but to accept that. And the entire financial system is so interconnected that if the government on one side have to borrow money at such a high interest rate, the entire interest rates across the entire economy are going to be higher, and that will impact you. So if you want to buy a house and you want to get a mortgage, your mortgage rate will be determined by the global interest rates in the United States. You want to borrow money for your credit cards. I mean, credit card debts or interests are extremely high anyways, but let's take a car loan. You want to buy a car and you want to finance it. The interest rate that the bank is going to provide you are going to be based on the entire interest rates around the system. And most importantly, don't forget the fact that this debt sooner or later must be paid back, whether you want that or not. So if you're borrowing right now and you're not going to pay it back, the future generation will have to pay it back. And that means more taxes on them. If the current generation of Americans cannot possibly pay the debt, how are you imagining that the next generation will be able to do that? So much debt could also incentivize the government to print more money in the future, and that means higher inflation. If you don't have the money to pay back the loan, at the end of the day, what all the governments through the entire history, what they have done is that they went back to the printing press and they started printing money to pay those money back. Especially the United States that loans or borrows money in US dollars, which allows or gives the United States the option to print money to pay its loans. But when you do that, you simply create the massive inflation, and that will devalue the dollar further. And that's pretty much why Elon Musk is so frustrated with this big, beautiful bill. Now, it doesn't matter who do you support. You might be a MAGA person or a supporter of Elon Musk, but if you want to get into the root of it, this is the problem. The problem with the national debt is serious. It must be fixed. It must be addressed, and you cannot fix the problem by spending more. On one side, some people make the argument that we're going to spend so much more money that the economy will grow so fast that we will be able to pay back that debt. But that only works in theory. In practice, it's much more difficult to achieve that. The US economy is the most advanced economy in the world with a GDP per capita of around $90,000, and growing faster than 2% annually is practically impossible for the US economy.